September 23rd, 2013, with a roll call, please.
Mayor Martini?
Here.
Council members Ratty? Here. Lawson? Here. Smith?
Here.
Kerrigan?
Here.
Schmidt? Absent. City Attorney Cheryl Eiding? Here. And City Manager Carey?
Here.
We have a quorum.
Carey?
Thank you.
Okay. Okay, if you'd all stand, please, for the invocation. Our favorite invocation speaker, Pastor Barb West of the Sparks Church of the Nazarene. I should say my favorite. I can't speak for everyone.
I'll speak for some. Thank you, Mayor, my favorite mayor. Well, the Bible tells us that we are to pray for our officials, so if you'll bow your heads with me, we'll do that. Our Father in heaven, we are so thankful to be a part of this great community. And we're thankful, too, Lord, that we live in a land where we can vote for and elect our elected officials. And you know all of the things that are on the agenda today. And so we lift up this fine council headed by our Mayor, Gino Martini, and pray that you will be with every council member as they consider all of the things on the agenda. We think, too, Lord, about our city manager and pray that his recovery would go well and according to your plan, and that he would be healed perfectly and well. And by Thanksgiving, he'll just be dancing all over the place. Lord, we thank you for the children that are here today and for the proclamation that they are asking for and will receive. And Lord, we lift up firefighters to you. You know that the West has certainly been on fire, and so many of our own have been called out to work fires all over the country. And so we ask for their protection. We also would ask you for the protection of all of the people in Sparks, and ask that businesses would flourish and that jobs will be made and that people without work might get some. And so today we just lift up what all is going on here at the Sparks City Council and pray for your wisdom and blessing. In Jesus' name, amen.
Pastor, and we look forward to Sean dancing. We'll see if we can do it at a council meeting. You can get up on the dais here and do it. Good. Should all remain standing for the Pledge of Allegiance. Mr. Carey, would you lead us?
Please join me. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Next is comments from the public. I have no cards to speak. Anyone want to speak under comments from the public? Okay. Approval of the agenda. Anybody want to take anything out of order? Not looking for a motion. Mr. Smith.
Move to approve.
You have a second?
Second.
Moved by Councilman Smith, seconded by Councilwoman Ratty to approve the agenda as outlined by staff. Any further discussion? Seeing none, please vote. Please display. Passes unanimously. 3.1, consideration and possible approval of the minutes of the regular Sparks City Council meeting of September 9th, 2013. Any omissions, corrections, or deletions? Looking for a motion. Ms. Ratty.
Move to approve.
Do you have a second? Mr. Lawson.
Second.
Moved by Councilwoman Ratty, seconded by Councilman Lawson to approve the minutes of September 9th, 2013. Any further discussion? Seeing none, please vote. Passes unanimously. Next is announcements, presentations, recognition items. First is 4.1, presentation by Volunteers of America on the shelter and restart programs at the Community Assistance Center. Ms. Isham, welcome. Sandy.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor and Sparks City Council, for having me here today. I'm going to give you a brief presentation about the Restart and Shelter programs that we operate at the Community Assistance Center. And I thank City Councilman Lawson for inviting me. He came to attend the Walmart gift card presentation for our Operation Backpack at the family shelter. And was that your first visit? All right, and did you love it?
Pretty cool place.
Great. So quickly, I wanted to give you some background information about Volunteers of America. We've been around since 1896, and not too many people realize that we were founded by Maud and Ballington Booth. Ballington was the son of the founder of the Salvation Army. And Maud was an early reformer. She became a pioneer in the prison reform movement, known as the Little Mother of the prisons. Many of our halfway houses today are based on programs that she helped start. Today, Volunteers of America, as an organization nationally, helps about 2.5 million people every year. Our particular affiliate stretches from Oakland to Reno, and we help 2,000 people every single day. Right here in Reno, we operate the men's shelter with 160 beds, the women's shelter with 50 beds, family shelter with 27 individual units, the Restart program, which serves the mentally ill homeless, and the Resource Center, which is where people can come use the telephone, computer, receive mail, and attend classes. We also will be celebrating the grand opening of an addition of 40 units at our Sierra Manor, located near Paradise Park, this Friday, bringing the grand total of units to 187. These are HUD-subsidized units for seniors, and it's based on a sliding scale for the rent. One of the things that I want to just help impress upon you today is that the shelters are not just a place to sleep. They're programs based on a recovery model. And so we see every day the results of being able to take people out of crisis mode, give them some case management, other supportive services, which actually does provide long-term impact on their lives. This picture is of a Getting Ahead workshop taking place at our women's shelter. One of the newer things that we're working on right now is a partnership with Seroptimus Club, which is coming in on a monthly basis to do journaling and other projects at the women's shelter. We are seeing an all-time high community involvement at the family shelter. Has anyone here not been to the family shelter yet? Well, part of what I would love today is to help persuade you to come in for a tour. I promise that you've never seen anything like it. One of the things that we do on a monthly basis at the family shelter is birthday parties, which are sponsored by outside organizations. The party for this month will take place this Wednesday. If you wanted to attend, please just let me know. We're going to have Tumble Bus there, and we're also going to be doing some fall crafts as part of the party. One of the other events we have going on is with your very own Miss Sparks Outstanding Teen, Nasaya Mancini. She, as part of her pageant project, has been working with the children on theater activities and actually put together a live performance off-site at Southside Cultural Center, which was attended by the mayor and his wife of Reno and about 100 other folks. We had printed programs, and the children were autographing them afterwards. It really was a first-class experience, and we'll be doing that again this fall, and we'd absolutely love to see you there. The picture you're seeing right now is a Family Storyteller, one of our mini programs at the family shelter. One of the things that I want to also impress upon everyone here today is that these programs actually do save money in the long run. By stabilizing people, we actually put them in a position where they're not a draw on emergency assist services, such as police, fire, jail, and foster care. In one dramatic example, foster care per child per day is actually about 10 times more expensive than a stay at the family shelter, but with better long-term results. Because you're going to hopefully keep that family intact, and when you do that, you're also maintaining the motivation for the parents to stay working on their goals and trying to be the best parents that they can. And one other example, I'm sure you've heard of the triage center on site, which is operated by WestCare. And when a homeless person detoxes at that triage center, it's about 1/5 of the cost of doing so at a hospital emergency room. And then it's also going to yield better results as well, because you have more supportive services there for that population. These are some of the other providers on site. The Good Shepherd Clothes Closet, Hawk Outreach Clinic, Reno Sparks Gospel Mission, which actually puts out about 1,200 meals every single day, feeding their own clients and all of the clients at the shelters as well. Our contract that we have with the interlocal jurisdictions here had the evening meal service cut out of it a couple of years ago, so the Gospel Mission stepped up, and they prepare an evening meal for all 300 shelter residents daily. They also serve a continental breakfast in the parking lot every day. Then, of course, we have St. Vincent's Dining Room right next door, which provides a lunch daily, Monday through Saturday. We also have quite a few programs on site with Washoe County School District, Children in Transition programs. There are almost 3,000 homeless children being served by that program at this point in time. The number has gone up each year the last few years. But that is, the school district has some excellent programs where they're really trying to help break the cycle of poverty for the kids who are living there. And I just want to encourage you to come in, have a tour. Most people who do come are really pretty blown away by it. People are expecting some kind of sad experience when they come in, but we feel like it's actually a very powerful one, because when you transform a life, when you change the course of the direction that people are headed, it can be a very powerful experience. And we also want to thank the City of Sparks for their contribution to the contract budget that helps make these programs possible. I also think it would be a fabulous idea for the City Council of Sparks to adopt one of our birthday parties. And we've had folks coming in there ranging from Dixon Realty, RE/MAX, UNR Glee Club. Sometimes people come in there and they actually think it changed their life to be able to see what they're seeing. The other thing I want to mention is, I don't know if anyone here knows the average age of a homeless person in our country. Does anyone want to hazard a guess?
35.
It's 9 years old. So that's why these programs are so important, because not only are we serving people who need help right now, but we're helping change the course of the direction of their lives. So this is my contact information. I'd be happy to answer any questions. I'm not even sure how much time, if we're out of time.
Questions for Sandy? Mr. Lawson?
Well, when I went there, I was totally surprised that it's a first-class facility. And I was able to speak with one of your residents, and she originally was from San Jose, and she had been staying there for a number of months. And she was so excited that she was getting her own apartment the next week. And to see that transition, and then she told me a little bit of her backstory and the abusive relationship that she was in and the things that they're going wrong for her and her child. But to see the confidence that she had after that short stay with you guys, and to be out on her own, there's a real sense of pride there. So that was what was really cool. So that's why I was really touched by that whole experience. And then the facility itself, where the families are, and the play area up on the roof, just amazing. You guys would be really, truly amazed to check out the facility. But thank you. In your Operation Backpack, the kids are near and dear to me, so
we'll find a way to get involved with that for you next year.
Well, perhaps City Hall would like to be one of our drop-off locations. We were able to collect more than 600 backpacks this year, and we only need maybe 100 for the children we serve directly. The rest of them go to the Washoe County School District Children in Transition Program. Many of those kids, and again, defining homeless as meaning you're in a temporary situation, not literally on the street, but most of those kids are living in motels along 4th Street. And so next year, we're hoping to at least double that number. We're talking to Tom Dolan later this week to see if we can have a major sponsorship with him. So we're doing lots, and I mean, honestly, I could talk to you for an hour and tell you about all the exciting things going on. Just wanted to give you a taste so that you will think about coming down and taking a look in person. So thank you again for having me.
Sandy, get us some information on the drop-off, being a drop-off location. I don't see that that's a huge problem. And then if you could send me some information on the birthday party sponsorship, is that what you're talking about?
Yes, I'll send you, the birthday parties are booked all the way through next May,
Okay.
but we could pitch it down for June if you're interested. The birthday parties, El Dorado donates cupcakes for those each month, so you would bring in the games, the decorations. Maybe you could play pin the tail on the mayor or have a pie contest. Or
Same as the donkey, no problem. Yeah.
As far as the Operation Backpack, we have several locations. Last year it was Dixon, Remax, Kafuri Armstrong, MXI Healthy Chocolate.
Anything in Sparks?
No.
We need something in Sparks.
Absolutely. We started a little small, but
Okay.
like I said, it's just a place where people can actually bring the backpacks, so it can help increase foot traffic into the City Hall. I'm not sure if you are looking for that, but we would love to partner with you. Definitely, there will be children in Sparks who do benefit.
Sure. Just if you could send us some information on both of those, the backpacks and the birthday party, and we'll see what we can do.
I will do it.
Thanks,
Thank you
Sandy.
very much.
Appreciate it.
Yeah.
Thanks for all your good help.
Thank you.
Okay, let's move on to 4.2, proclamation for Financial Planning Week. Is there someone here to accept this? Come on down, sir. Come on down and have a seat. Just give us your name for the record, and then I'll read the proclamation.
I'm president of the student chapter at the University of Nevada.
Great. Thanks for being here, sir. Proclamation for the City of Sparks. Whereas the financial planning process allows individuals to achieve their dreams by empowering them to identify and manage realistic financial goals and negotiate the financial barriers that arise at every stage of life. And whereas everyone can benefit from knowing the value of financial planning and where to turn for objective financial advice. And whereas the Financial Planning Association is the membership organization for the financial planning community, representing 28,500 members dedicated to supporting the financial planning process as a way to help individuals achieve their goals and dreams. And whereas the Financial Planning Association believes that everyone is entitled to objective advice from a competent, ethical financial planner to make smart financial decisions. And whereas the Financial Planning Association is dedicated to helping individuals discover the value of financial planning. Now, therefore, I, Gino R. Martini, Mayor of the City of Sparks, Nevada, do hereby proclaim October 7th through the 13th, 2013, as Financial Planning Week.
Thank you, sir.
Go ahead, sir.
On behalf of the Financial Planning Association, which is better known as the FPA, we would like to thank you for this opportunity to create awareness for the financial opportunities for everyone in the community. Thank you.
Thanks for being here. We appreciate it. Okay, Mr. King, Mr. Garrison. Fallen Firefighter Day. City of Sparks proclamation. Whereas the United States Congress and the President of the United States have designated the day of the annual National Fallen Firefighters Memorial Service as a day to honor firefighters and emergency services personnel who have sacrificed their lives to save others by lowering the American flag on all federal buildings to half-staff. And whereas an average of 100 firefighters courageously make the ultimate sacrifice in the line of duty each year. And whereas the events of September 11, 2001 brought the national attention to the duties, responsibilities, hazards, and sacrifices faced by fire and emergency services personnel on a daily basis. And whereas firefighters and emergency services personnel play an emotional role in the protection of lives and the property in our local community. Now, therefore, I, Gino R. Martini, Mayor of the City of Sparks, Nevada, do hereby proclaim October 6, 2013 as Fallen Firefighter Day, and call upon all citizens of the City of Sparks and upon all patriotic, civic, and educational organizations to recognize the patriotic service and dedicated efforts of our fire and emergency services personnel by lowering American flags on all buildings to half-staff. I encourage appropriate services and ceremonies in which all the citizens may participate to honor fire and emergency services personnel, past and present, who by their faithful and loyal devotion to duties have rendered invaluable service to our community and its citizens. I further call upon citizens of the City of Sparks to remember all fire and emergency personnel who have made the ultimate sacrifice in service to their community and to pay respect to the survivors of our fallen heroes. Thank you. Couldn't see you behind me. Go ahead, Tom.
Mayor Martini, City Council members, for the record, Tom Garrison, Sparks Fire Chief. Firefighting continues to be a very dangerous occupation. So far this year, 79 people have lost their lives in the line of duty in the United States, including 19 Granite Mountain hotshots of Prescott, Arizona, who were overrun by a wildfire on June 30th near Yarnell, Arizona. In order to protect our community, Sparks firefighters are continually exposed to high-risk situations. They don't dwell on these risks, but rather maintain an awareness of their environment and focus on their mission, protecting lives and property. Council's designation of a Fallen Firefighter Day allows firefighters and citizens a specific time to reflect on the lives lost and to honor those who have made the ultimate sacrifice. It also acknowledges your awareness of and respect for the risks your firefighters take every day. Through this proclamation, you are honoring our profession. Thank you.
Thanks, Tom. Bob, anything you want to say? You're up next. Okay, next is for Fire Prevention Week. It's time. Whereas the City of Sparks is committed to ensuring the safety and security of all those living in and visiting our community, and whereas fire is a serious public safety concern both locally and nationally, and homes are the locations where people are at greatest risk from fire, and whereas home fires killed more than 2,500 people in the United States in 2011, according to the National Fire Protection Association, and fire departments in the United States responded to 370,000 home fires. And whereas cooking is the leading cause of home fires in the United States, where fire departments respond to more than 15,000 annually between 2007 and 2011. And whereas 2 of every 5 homes fires start in the kitchen. And whereas in 2013 Fire Prevention Week theme, Prevent Kitchen Fires, effectively serves to remind us to stay alert and use caution when cooking to reduce the risk of kitchen fires. Whereas the 2013 Fire Prevention Week theme, Prevent Kitchen Fires, effectively serves to remind us to stay alert and use caution when cooking to reduce the risk of kitchen fires. Now, therefore, I, Gino R. Martini, Mayor of the City of Sparks, Nevada, do hereby proclaim October 6th through the 12th, 2013 as Fire Prevention Week, and urge all people of the City of Sparks to check their kitchens for fire hazards and using the safe cooking practices during Fire Prevention Week 2013. Thanks.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor and members of council. Fire Marshal Bob King for record. Fire Prevention Week, of course, is a big week for us in prevention. We usually extend it out for the entire month of October, and we advertise to businesses and schools to be able to come out to their places and teach education on fire safety. And we'll do that through the whole month of October. We're really doing a big effort during that month. One of the big things that we do every year to kick off Fire Prevention Week is have a pancake breakfast open house at the main headquarters fire station. This year will be our 24th year doing it, so we have it down pat now, and I think we serve pretty good pancakes. We have a lot of good comments on those, but it'll be on October 5th. It's from 8 to noon at our headquarters station at 1605 Victorian Avenue. We have pancakes, eggs, ham, juice, coffee, a great breakfast. This year we'll have live demonstrations. We'll have a car extrication, a high-angle rescue off of the third-story tower of our fire station, and then we'll have a kitchen fire safety demonstration, especially since that's the theme this year. We'll have static displays inside the apparatus space, tours of the fire station. Sparky the fire dog will be there for the kids. It's going to be a great time. We've been advertising it, and usually we get anywhere between 500 to 1,500 people that visit our station on that day, depending on weather. So we would like to cordially invite you and the council to our pancake breakfast, and everybody that's watching us today, and you'll see advertisements out there for us as well.
What's the cost again, Bob?
The cost is just $5 for adults, $4 if you bring a canned food with you as well, and that goes for donation. And then children is $2 and seniors is $2. And parking is limited by the fire station, so the Boys and Girls Club has helped us out for quite a few years now, and they're doing it again this year. They'll have a shuttle bus that will pick people up over on the west side of the theater and shuttle people back and forth the whole entire morning. So we really appreciate that. One last thing that we'll have this year is a grand unveiling of our newly renovated fire safety trailer. Our Project Safe grant that we had, our third Project Safe grant, incorporated funds to put a wrap around the entire trailer, a new wrap, because it was getting faded. And if you come out and see it, I think you're going to love it. It looks beautiful. So at 8:30 in the morning, we'll have a grand unveiling on that as well.
Great, thanks. Thanks, Chief. Appreciate it. Okay, next we have a proclamation for International Walk to School Day. Is there someone here for that? I figured it was. Come on down, kids. Okay, let me read this to you, and then I'll have you give me your name and what school you go to real quick, okay? City of Sparks proclamation. Whereas parents driving children to school can account for up to 25% of the morning rush hour traffic in the vicinities of schools. Walking and bicycling to school reduces the number of vehicle trips in the vicinity of schools and potential conflicts between vehicles and pedestrians or bicycles. And whereas reducing the number of vehicles driving students to school results in increased safety, reduced traffic congestion, improved air quality, and less fuel consumption in the vicinity of schools. And whereas the benefits related to physical activity at an early age play a leading role in reducing rates of heart disease, diabetes, and other obesity-related health problems among children. And whereas children walking and bicycling to school together with parents and caregivers opens opportunities to mentor children about pedestrian and bicycle safety and its benefits related to health and the environment. Now therefore, I, Gino R. Martini, Mayor of the City of Sparks, Nevada, do hereby proclaim Wednesday, October 9th, 2013, as International Walk to School Day in Sparks, and encourage citizens of Sparks, Nevada to walk or bicycle with their children to school while celebrating the benefits of increased safety and health this day and throughout the year. Go ahead, don't be bashful. There's only 2 million people watching you, so it's okay.
I'm Robbie Boland, and we are from Jerry Whitehead, and we want to help other kids bike to school and walk to school safely.
Great. Yes, sir. Go ahead. Tell us your name.
I'm Peter Hippert, and I go to Jerry Whitehead Elementary School.
Okay.
Say it loud. I'm Katie Hippert, and I go to Jerry Whitehead Elementary School as well. I'm David Owen, and I go to Whitehead Elementary too.
I am MJ Cloud. I'm the Safe Routes to School Coordinator for the Washoe County School District. And last year, for the first time, the Washoe County School District was able to be nationally recognized through the Center of Safe Routes to School as ranking 10th. Nevada ranked 10th in the nation, having 1 out of every 12 schools participate. So we're really proud of that, and we're striving to better that this year. Thank you.
Thanks, MJ, and thanks, kids, for being here. We appreciate it.
Wearing a great pin on their shirts.
I noticed that. Thank you for that, Mr. Lawson. Okay, let's move on to consent items. Anybody want to pull a consent item? If not, looking for a motion. Ms. Ratty.
Move to approve consent items 5.1 through 5.5.
Mr. Smith.
Second.
Moved by Councilwoman Ratty, seconded by Councilman Smith to approve consent items 5.1 through 5.5. Any further discussion? Seeing none, please vote. Passes unanimously. Okay, let's move on to 6.1, consideration and possible adoption of a resolution in support of an application from the Washoe County School District to the U.S. Department of Education's fiscal year 2013 Race to the Top grant program. Welcome, ladies.
Good afternoon. Kathy Cluett for the record. With me is Kristen McNeil. She's the Chief of Staff for the Washoe County School District, and this is turning into the yearly request by the school district for the city's support in their request to the federal government for Race to the Top. And I'll turn it over to Ms. McNeil.
Thank you so much. Thank you, mayors and city council. Yes, once again, this is our second try at the federal grant Race to the Top. There will be 5 to 10 awards, and we're going to be applying for upwards of $25 million over a 4-year period of time. This grant will allow our schools the wireless infrastructure, devices for students and teachers, professional development, as well as training for our Signature Academy programs, which you all have heard extensively. And so on behalf of the Board of Trustees and Superintendent Martinez, we're very much appreciative of this opportunity to come forward. And if you all have any questions as far as what the grant entails, we'd be happy to speak to those.
Questions? Anyone have any questions? Okay, I guess not. You did a wonderful presentation. Looking for a motion. Mr. Smith.
Move to adopt Resolution Number 3246 to support the Washoe County School District's request to the U.S. Department of Education's FY 2013 Race to the Top grant program.
Do you have a second? Mr. Addy. Moved by Councilman Smith, seconded by Councilwoman Ratty to approve 6.1 is outlined by staff. Any further discussion? Seeing none, please vote. Passes unanimously. Thank you for being here, and give our best to Mr. Martinez. 6.2, consideration of possible acceptance of a justice assistance training grant. Chief Allen, welcome.
Good afternoon, Mr. Mayor, members of council. Brian Allen, Chief of Police, for the record. This item before you is an approximate $10,000 grant to bring a group called the Corner House to the Regional Public Safety Training Center to provide child forensic interviewing classes. We applied for and agreed to be the grantee for this grant that will bring this training to the region, not only just to suffice the NRS requirements to provide this training on a yearly basis, but the Corner House training is the new national model on how we would interview children in cases of sexual and physical abuse. So that we are taking the lead within this valley to bring this training to the region, where it would take about $3,000 to send one individual officer to this class. We're able to send 30 officers in the region for the $10,000 grant that we're applying for through the Office of Criminal Justice Assistance. So this is a great opportunity for us to be the leader in our community in the region in this area.
Great, thanks, Chief. Any questions? Okay, no questions. Looking for a motion. Mr. Kerrigan.
Move for approval.
I think Mr. Lawson was next.
Second.
I have a motion by Councilman Kerrigan, seconded by Councilman Lawson to approve 6.2 as outlined by staff. Any further discussion? Seeing none, please vote. Passes unanimously. Thanks, Chief. Appreciate it. 6.3 is consideration of possible approval of renewing the city's financial support for the Economic Development Authority of Western Nevada for the fiscal year 2013 through 2014. Mr. Carey?
Thank you. Mr. Mike Kosmierski is here today from EDAWN to answer any questions you may have. Mr. Lawson is the member of the board. He may have some comments on this. We did budget $80,000 this year. We did receive an invoice from EDAWN, and you're simply asked today to approve that. Mr. Lawson?
Go ahead, Ed.
Mike was going to talk to us a little bit about some of the businesses that have come here. Is that true? Am I putting you on the spot?
Well,
just real quick, that'd be awesome.
Yeah.
Mr. Mayor, council members, Mike Kosmierski, EDAWN. You're getting two handouts now. One, I didn't want to torture you again with the same briefing you got just a few weeks ago. So I provided a handout there. If you'll note on the second page where it talks about City of Sparks activity, somewhere in, right now 370 jobs in the last 2 years that we were directly involved with, working to bring to the city. Obviously, we work for the entire region, but these happen to land in the City of Sparks, and working with your team here, certainly Sean and staff, as well as the elected officials here who were successful with that attraction piece and some expansion, and they list the companies associated with it. I'd also want to highlight on the next page the taxi campaign, which you probably saw launched here recently. A successful effort. We were in partnership with one of the taxi companies. We promised them 66 taxi tops. We've already got 70 people signed up to fill those taxi tops, so we're going now to the other two taxi companies and making the same offer. We hope to eventually totally diversify our taxi tops, and not just our taxi tops. We're talking about the whole marketing of our community as a place for business. And so really this is just the first step and something that we're working on that the Sparks team here has been a part of and supportive as well. The second document you'll have there is the City of Sparks. We've asked Brian Bonifant Center for Regional Studies to run an economic impact analysis of the companies that we have worked with that landed in the city of Sparks over the last 4 years. What you have is his report there, and the second page specifically highlights the direct impact to the city budget of these companies. And you see the summary there, $1,257,000 for the 4-year period, about $300,000 a year of direct positive tax benefit, not just on sales tax, but property tax as well. So that, from a ROI perspective, the city has averaged somewhere in that period around $30,000 a year, which we're looking at an increase this year. But over that period of time, a pretty good return on investment, at least 10-to-1, directly to the budget of the city, not to mention the $750 million of economic impact that's included in the region. Doesn't necessarily touch the budget, but these are Brian's numbers, and if you have any questions, I'm sure we can get answers for you. With that as kind of an update, I would open it up for any questions you might have.
Questions for Mike? Anyone, comments?
I have a comment.
Go ahead.
I think this is a great investment on the part of the city of Sparks for us to do or accomplish. It's not just do, accomplish, that's the key word. The things that Mike and his team at EVDON have done over the past 2 years would cost us multiple times more money to even come close to that. So for us, to me, it's kind of a no-brainer. But thank you, Mike. Appreciate what you're doing. And as I say all the time, economic development, that's how we're going to get ourselves out of our issues that we're in. And the more we move forward, the faster we'll get out of it. So good job by you and your team.
Mr. Smith.
And I'll echo what Ed said, and I've told you this before, but that's why we are more than doubling our funding for EDON, because of the job that you and your staff are doing. We really do appreciate that work. Thank you.
For me, Mike, it's never been better since I've been here. I've been here since '99 with EDON, and it's never been better before or since I've been here, and I really appreciate it. And seeing that we can't afford right now to have an economic development person, I think we need to rely on you folks, and we have done that, and I think you've done a terrific job, so I appreciate it. Mr. Lawson. Sure, go ahead.
I move to approve renewing the city's financial support for EDON for fiscal year 2013-14 in the amount of $80,000.
Do you have a second? Mr. Smith.
Second.
Moved by Councilman Lawson, seconded by Councilman Smith to approve agenda item 6.3 as outlined by staff. Any further discussion? Seeing none, please vote. Passed unanimously. Thanks, Mike. Appreciate it. Good luck. Keep up the good work.
Mayor and council members, I just want to thank you. I want you to know that this is a lot of money for the city of Sparks, and we appreciate that. We take this very, very it's a very big responsibility on our part to make sure it's spent properly, and the results are truly have an impact on this city. We'll make sure that happens. So thanks,
you. Mike. Appreciate it. Let's move on to 6.4, discussion possible approval of a memorandum of understanding, MOU, between the City of Sparks, Nevada Municipal Corporation and the International Association of Firefighters, Local 1265, the firefighters. Chris Severson.
Good afternoon. Chris Severson, Employee and Customer Relations Manager for the city. Before you today is a memorandum of understanding between the city and the Sparks Local 1265 Firefighter Union. As you know, in July of 2013, the city entered into a multi-year agreement with Local 1265. When we were meeting with Local 1265 and negotiating, there were 2 items that were still outstanding that we were not able to resolve prior to the bargaining agreement that you approved. It was with the understanding that we would approve the bargaining agreement as came forth to you and would meet very quickly after that fact to bring these 2 items to you. The first is a extension of grievance timelines. As you're aware, or may be aware, the union can file a grievance on behalf of their employees, or the employees can file a grievance. And we simply wanted to give both sides a little bit longer time period in order to respond. This is favorable to both the city and the union. The second piece in the MOU is an approval of an investigator special pay. As you're aware, we have fire inspectors, There are a group of the fire inspectors who have become certified to perform investigations as well. Those would be cases of arson, causes of fire, things like that. We had been requested by the union to provide a special pay to these employees who have taken on this additional responsibilities, and that is the memorandum of understanding that is before you now. I'm ready to answer any questions you may have.
Questions for Chris? Comments? Okay, looking for a motion. Ms. Ratty.
I move to approve the memorandum of understanding between the city and the International Association of Firefighters, local number 1265.
Mr. Lawson.
Second.
Moved by Councilwoman Ratty, seconded by Councilman Lawson to approve 6.4 as outlined. Any further discussion? Seeing none, please vote. Passes unanimously. Thanks, Chris. 6.5, presentation, discussion, possible action on a shared federal framework. Mr. Mayberry, Mr. Gibson.
Good afternoon, Mr. Mayor, council members. I'm Adam Mayberry, your Community Relations Manager for the record, and to my right is Lee Gibson, the RTC Executive Director. Also want to introduce Mr. John Porter. As many of you know, John served with Boulder City for nearly a decade on the council, then as their mayor, served in the state legislature for 2 terms, and was a member of Congress for nearly 6 years. I had the opportunity to work real closely with Mr. Porter about 10 years ago. It's hard to believe it's been that long, but had a lot of conversations with him about how wonderful Sparks was. And so, John, it's nice to see you finally here. Thank you. The Shared Federal Framework program won't go into great detail. I think most of you are aware of what we're trying to accomplish with this, but with the current ban on earmarks and the unique environment in Washington these days, there's a group of local governments and economic development organizations, EDON included. See, Mike is still here. Thank you, Mike. Came together probably back in July, I think, is when we first met. It's really an effort to identify some of the key immediate needs and priorities for our region and policies that impact our region at the federal level, and to come together and deliver a united message to our congressional delegation as well as key members of Congress later in October. The city's legislative team, as you know, consisting of Mayor Martini, Councilwoman Ratty, Manager Carey, myself, have all been involved with some of these meetings and certainly support the concept. A few points I want to make about the shared federal framework: that it does not require any additional lobbying or administrative expenses on behalf of the city. Any additional expenses that would be incurred would be travel expenses. We will continue to work with our federal lobbyist, Anya Graves. She's been very active as a participant in planning this and being involved with the meetings. The shared federal framework, it doesn't diminish the role of our congressional delegation. In fact, we met with all of them during the August recess. We met personally with Congressman Amodei. The staff of Senator Heller's office, Senator Reed's office have all embraced what we're doing, think it's a good idea, and support it. It also doesn't usurp what the city's legislative program entails. In other words, we're going to continue to communicate and reach out with our congressional offices individually, lobby and ensure that they're aware of our needs. And we'll do that as a city, as we continue to do. So the shared federal framework merely complements the city's legislative program, and that's really the thrust of what we're presenting to you today for your approval that the city in fact participate in this program. We've identified Mayor Martini, Councilman Ron Smith as chair of the Flood Authority, and of course certainly representative of the city, and myself would travel to Washington amongst at least 20 plus representatives of Northern Nevada, and that would occur later in October, roughly October 28th, I believe, 29th, 30th. Congressman Porter's role is really facilitating the meetings, the venues, and the possibly hearings that may come about as a result of our travel. So those are my remarks. I want to ask Mr. Gibson if I overlooked anything, if there's anything you want to add.
Thank you, Adam. Mr. Mayor, members of the council, I really don't have anything more to add to Adam's comments. I think from where we sit at the RTC, Mr. Porter was brought on board with us to help specifically deal with a number of legislative matters that will be before Congress over the next year to 2 years concerning the reauthorization of the transportation bill and making sure that a number of our priorities, both in highways and public transportation, are accurately and effectively represented. I would note for the record, for example, Interstate 11 is becoming a priority for Northern Nevada. Interstate 11 is a little bit different for us here, whereas I know our counterparts in the South are looking specifically for federal funding opportunities to begin building the Boulder City Bypass as a segment of I-11. We're more, maybe a couple of years we're maybe where they were 3 years ago. We're just looking to make sure that there's a corridor within the state of Nevada from Las Vegas to Northern Nevada to the Reno-Sparks area that will be part of I-11. We want to make sure that receives the regulatory and policy emphasis that the Senate and Congress can bestow upon that concept and move us in a position that should federal funds become available, especially if at some point Congress deals with the shortfall of monies in the Highway Trust Fund, we'll be able to take advantage of those monies and we'll be able to effectively begin developing I-11 as a key element of our highway system for the state. Just a historical note, it's my understanding when the original Interstate Highway Act was first adopted back during President Eisenhower's administration, the notion was to help connect cities within states. Well, here we are 50 years later, and we're ready for, I think, that connection to begin to be developed. We also know in some of the conversations we've had that California is supportive of this. They see this as a reliever of I-5. Guess what? I guess that means maybe they won't be footing some of the bill for the expansion of I-5, but instead we'll be working with Nevada to have Interstate 11 created. So we think this is a good way for us, at least from RTC, to begin developing and moving our priorities forward. We welcome the participation. We actually beg for you all to participate. The more we show, the more strength we'll show, especially as it relates to the economic development piece. We think the economic development piece is critical. EDON was a very strong partner in our development of the regional transportation plan this past year. We want to make sure that those outcomes that were outlined in the RTP for economic development in partnership with EDON will be achieved. With that, I'll be happy to answer any questions.
Questions for Mr. Gibson or Adam or even Mr. Porter? Mr. Porter, do you have anything you would like to say, Congressman?
Be careful when you ask it. Yeah. I'll give it much. Thank you, Mr. Mayor, Councilwoman, and members of the council. It's an honor for me to be here, and as a former elected official, I guess once former, still a member, and I try my best to bring to my friends, especially elected officials across Nevada and here in Northern Nevada, some of my experience on the local level to the state level and the federal level. We can no longer do business as usual as elected officials in communities. We're facing some very turbulent times, from financially to also a lot of competition across the country for those few dollars that are available from the federal government. But my role really is to try to create something unique and different that you wouldn't normally have with your city, and that is access to members of Congress from across the country. We're fortunate in Nevada with Senator Reed, Senator Heller, and certainly Congressman Amodei, and the rest of our delegation. They listen, they work hard. It's a very difficult job. But my role is to not only to help facilitate your existing legislative talents and the team that you have in Washington and Anya. My role is to really make sure the rest of the country know who we are in Northern Nevada. Case in point, just last week we did a similar trip as this for the Las Vegas Chamber. Mayor John Lee, many of you know him, was a state senator and new mayor, came along, and I had required a opportunity for him to meet with Congressman Bishop and arrange for this in front of the Chamber of Commerce to talk about some public lands issues. Congressman Bishop from Utah, because of this meeting, offered to do a public hearing
on his proposal for public lands in Southern Nevada. So again, my role is to help you facilitate your existing agenda. My role is to help facilitate the Northern Nevada agenda with the shared federal framework. Lee Gibson and his team have taken a leadership role. My role is above and beyond that to be one of you and understanding where you've been, where you're going, and what I can do to make your job easier. So, Mayor, it's an honor for me to be a part of the family here in Sparks. I think this is really important, and there are unique approaches to federal policy. Today, we can't do it like we used to do. I want you to meet as many members of the delegation from other states that are opinion makers across the country. Now, there is always the question of partisanship, and as you know, I'm a Republican, but I also know how to count. I've learned to count votes, especially as a city councilman. Currently, the Republicans are in charge of the House of Representatives. If it were the Democrats, we would be doing the same thing. We're going to meet with leaders of the Republican majority who are controlling the agendas, who are controlling the committees. We're blessed to have Senator Reid as majority leader of the Democratic side, but also the country. And he, too, is helping us, as you know, to be a part of this very successful event, which I see coming in the end of October. So thank you for letting me be here, and I'm always around for questions or happy to help at any time.
Great, Congressman. I think I appreciate it most because you've been in Congress and you've been where we're at right now, doing these kind of local things. So many times we work with people that have no clue what's going on at the local level, and I think sometimes they don't really care, but maybe that's not true. But it's good to see you here because you've been where we've been, and that's good to know.
And you know, the toughest job of my 25 years was right here, and I have great respect for what you do. Thank you very much.
Questions for Congressman Porter or Adam or Mr. Gibson? Mr. Kerrigan.
Yeah, let me say that in concept, I support this, but there's some questions that were asked when I was at a meeting, and I think there was another meeting on Thursday, and I'd really like to know what the answers were at that meeting, because I, for one, think that sending 20 people back to Washington, D.C. is too many. There was a thing that we were going to have, 20 to 50 items. I mean, I want to know where all that fleshes out, because to me, that it's the devil's in the details. How's the chain of command going to work? I mean, are we going to go to Amadei's office? Is he going to go with the delegation? What about our lobbyists? Every city and county has a different lobbyist. How are they going to fit into this?
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. Councilman Kerrigan, I think, and I was at that meeting, one of the meetings I had last week with you, and I think we took some of your comments to heart. So let me explain how we're going to try to do this. We're going to start off with a kickoff event where senior elected officials, senior staff are going to present to invited members of our delegation and to some of the staff and members of key congressional committees that have oversight with respect to the issues we're focused on, where they're going to come and receive policy briefings on what we're facing, what our local commitments are, and what we are seeing as federal opportunities or obstacles, either regulatory or financial. So this initial kickoff summit, as Mr. Porter has called it, is really the start where everybody's together.
Now, where is this? Okay, this is back in D.C.?
This will be back in D.C.
And where is it going to take place?
The kickoff summit is going to be at the Capitol, I believe.
What I have done successfully through the years as a member of Congress and now representing communities like Northern Nevada, I try to make logistics as easy and simple as possible. And what we have done and will do in this circumstance, thank you again, this is John Porter. The plan is to have facilities within the United States Capitol, within the House office buildings where members can come visit. And if I can walk through just last week, maybe it will help you a little bit. We started off with a reception that was paid for by individuals that chose. We then had an office facility conference room in the United States Capitol that was arranged by Senator Reid. And so, you know, we work through the delegation. Everything we do is through members of Nevada delegation, but also Mr. Boehner's office, Mr. Cantor's office, and Ms. Pelosi's office. So we had a facility in the U.S. Capitol. We invited members of other states to come visit us. We were there for about 4 hours. We invite members from these other states to come sometime between 8 and 11. We were fortunate to have 4 members from other states. We then went to to lunch in the U.S. Capitol in the dining room, members-only dining room. We then went back to the same facility in the U.S. Capitol where we had members of Congress from our delegation come speak. So we don't have to, take 20 people around Washington, D.C. One day was specific for the individual entities that were with us to visit the administration, to visit different officials across the city of Washington, D.C. And then the third day, we met with members in their offices as requested. But what we did is we targeted members from outside of Nevada that we wouldn't normally get to meet on issues that impact our community. One example, as I mentioned, was Mayor Lee. Would not have had an opportunity. Certainly he could have found a congressman somewhere in Utah to meet with his land issue, but we bring in members that are important to you. So logistically, majority of everything is happening either in the U.S. Capitol or the U.S. Senate office buildings or the U.S. House office buildings, so it's convenient for everyone. And if I could just address the quantity of people. We are competing, unlike ever before, as a community of Northern Nevada, with the rest of the country. We certainly are known as Reno and Sparks and Washoe, and we're known as Northern Nevada, but we're not known collectively as 1 million people in the service area. The purpose, in my mind, and certainly I work for the RTC and for the airport, in my mind, it shows strength, it shows a uniform and united front as we deal with issues unlike we've ever had before. Members of Congress are dealing with what's happening in Syria. They're working with the debt ceiling. I mean, we can go through a list of challenges, but we want to make sure that we're heard. And the days that we used to do where we would visit a member of Congress have changed. And if I can only stress as a member that many times I was approached by different communities and I really didn't know how the city of Henderson, the city of Boulder, the city of North Las Vegas, how all their agendas matched into a global regional approach. So the facilities will be as much as possible within the U.S. Capitol. The goal is to be unified with 1 million people in the service area. But third and most importantly, it's showing us as a strong community of interest that need the support of our federal delegation and members from other states.
And you think we need 20 people to do that? My only concern is that's a lot of people. The other concern I have is what are our priorities? I mean, we're doing this all before October 28th. What federal priorities? I mean, how many federal priorities are we going to take, and what are the top 5?
Mr. Mayor, and Councilman Carrigan, if I may, I think, and I actually met with a representative of Senator Heller's staff this morning to kind of answer some of these same questions. And what I'm seeing emerging is what Mr. Porter just described, these very large sort of kickoff meetings where we have our delegation, key members of staff from other key committees coming and listening to us. But then we go into our breakout sessions. So, for example, I would go off for a series of meetings perhaps with either our own delegation, because now Congresswoman Titus sits on the Highway and Transit Subcommittee of the Transportation Infrastructure Committee. I may go with Commissioner Smith, Councilman Smith, to talk about the I-11 issue. We'll have to clone Commissioner Smith in my analogy, because he would have to go off and perhaps meet with another subcommittee group or with the Corps of Engineers on a matter related to the flood project. I'm not going to that meeting. He's going to go to that meeting. He will go with perhaps a representative from the flood project. The idea, again, being that we have these sort of group meetings where we're all together, but then our specialty areas of transportation, flood control, water resources, perhaps economic development, and tourism.
Yeah, let me interrupt you. How are you going to choose the people? Who are the 20 that are going? Anybody that wants to go? Or?
It's open to anyone who wants to go.
That's my point. So you don't know who wants to go.
Well, we have a preliminary list. I can get that to you from Thursday's meeting.
Yeah, that's the problem I have, is that you're asking me to vote on something that I have the concept. The only thing we saw on our agenda is this is the concept. And I said I support that concept, but it's the details that I'd like to know. I mean, I'd like to know who's going. What are the priorities?
I will provide that information to you. So we can get you a list of those.
Yeah, but I don't want to vote on it now and then get it later. You see what I mean? I'd like to see it all before you get my vote. Does that make sense?
Mr. Mayor, if I could add something.
Sure, go ahead.
The concept is that of working as a community of Northern Nevada. There's the only request we really have is that you would like us to help move your agenda forward the best we can as a group. As far as your expense, there certainly is travel cost and food. That's your only expense. But what I'm trying to do is help forward your existing agenda. It's certainly not a requirement. It certainly isn't something.
No, I understand that, but I'd like to know. I'd just like to know some of the details, because you represent the RCVA, RTC, and the Airport Authority. Are those three entities going to have the top 5 priorities?
They will have top priorities, but what we're trying to do is, why is it important that we have the best air service in Northern Nevada anywhere in the country? Why is it important that the RTC has the best streets and highways in the country? Why is it important that Sparks is growing and is a huge part of our economy? It's important to a member of Congress is to understand how those things work together. Many times as local communities, we're very focused, as we should be. Believe me, 10 years on the City Council, and Mayor, I appreciate your role, the most difficult job I've ever had, and again, I respect you. I would in no way want to take away your strength. I would like to encourage and to accent your strength as a local community by making sure that members of the delegation understand how important it is to have a vibrant economy. This is about jobs. It's about keeping our families working. If we can get more flights into Reno, it helps Sparks. If we have great streets, it helps Sparks. If we have great conventions, it helps the economy. So the goal is each has its strengths and certainly has priorities. The purpose is to make sure that those priorities are heard from each community more than once. And as a matter of fact, I would encourage that this really be a beginning of your delegation meeting as a council, of meeting with delegation beyond Nevada. And I'm honored to have time with Councilman Smith to be able to help the city of Sparks when he was there in the spring. But our goal really is to highlight your top 5. But then how does that top 5 fit together as a Northern Nevada community? What can we do to create more jobs? What can we do to bring in more tourists? What can we do to make sure we have this wonderful community we have to live in?
Mr. Smith.
You know, Mr. Carrier is not entirely incorrect on this, but we've been to Washington before when we walk in with 20 people and overwhelm the senator or the congressman in his office, and that doesn't work. We're not going to get, if we have 25 and we don't know the number of priorities we have, in the short amount of time we have with them, so the summit would work to offset that, because it's overwhelming. First of all, how you doing and everything else. But let's just take I-11, which I've been pushing this. With this delegation, and I'll say this to Mike, I would rather lose this corridor to somebody else because it was a better corridor than we didn't try. So to me, that's one of the federal priorities. And Mr. Carey said it best at the meeting that let's not limit how many we have, but that's what we're going to try to do in the next month and a half to figure out which ones are the right ones. And I don't think we're voting on this trip to D.C. today. We're voting on supporting the idea of the shared federal framework meetings that we're having. Isn't that true?
But then somebody better make the motion that clear.
Okay.
Mr. Lassen.
Well, I'm with my salesman background. You have to create a relationship before you walk in someone's door and ask them for $1 gazillion to put in I-11 or whatever project du jour that you want. So I get that part of it. Is 20 too many? Who's to say, Mike? I think the way it's set up, and I just read the itinerary from the Las Vegas trip. It seems to me like you're getting a lot done in a very short period of time, and you are covering a lot of ground. So 20 the right number? I don't know, but I don't think it really matters at this point. It's kind of a here I am, and I need your help kind of relationship building experience, I believe. And the cost of the city of Sparks is, I believe, just the cost of the mayor's travel expenses, because Councilman Smith's travel expenses are picked up by RTC. So it's a very...
Don't panic.
Flood.
I don't panic.
RTC has some extra money. They can help him out, too. But I think the relationship building is really the most important aspect of this, and building those for the future. So I'm in concept. I get it, and I'm okay with it.
With the number of different people we're going to have to meet with and different entities that have their projects and things like the flood and RTC and all those, we're going to be 20, I don't think is that many once everybody goes to their certain items that they want to take care of at that time when they're back there. I mean, it's not going to be 20 of us with the guy from transportation. It's not going to be 20 of us with people from the flood project. It's not going to be 20 of us from RTC or from RSCVA for tourism or economic development. So these people are going to go their different ways and talk to different people is what I'm assuming is going to happen, what sounds like the concept.
That's correct. That's correct.
So for me, I don't think 20 is too many if that's the concept that I'm getting to, and I agree with Ed. We need to make initial contact, make some friends if we can, and go on with business. So like Congressman Porter saying, it's a whole different time of doing business. You know, the last thing that I like or enjoy to do is going back to Washington, D.C. and beg for money for different projects. But you know what? That's the way it is, and that's the way that it is in 2013. That's what we have to do, make contacts with these people. So,
and Mr. Mayor, if I could just conclude, this thought process came about of my serving in all levels of government, and I was trying to find a way, working with Lee's vision, to make it easier for the councils and the RTC and the folks in Northern Nevada. What I would like to see as a member of Congress is something like this. It makes it very efficient for me. It's very comprehensive opportunity for my staff to sit in a situation similar to a public hearing where each entity has a chance to give their pitch at one time. It's efficient, and it's something that I wish that could happen more often. And I'd like to take credit for it, but it's happening all over the country right now. Communities like Northern Nevada are doing similar to make sure that their message is heard. So again, it's certainly not perfect. There is a lot of things that we can do different as we go, and it is kind of fluid in some respects depending on who attends. But it's an opportunity to take you to another level working with members of Congress that you may not have had in the past. So again, I'm
certainly, and some of the priorities that we have are the same priorities or similar to what RTC has, what economic development is with EDON, what RSCVA has to bring tourism and those kind of things. I think those are very synonymous with what our top priorities are. Ms. Ratty.
So I'm in support of the concept in general as well. I hear some of Councilman Kerrigan's concerns, and I agree with some of them as well. I think, figuring out how to get it right, depending on what's going on in Washington that particular week or depending on any number of factors locally, could be pretty challenging. But for the investment that we're making, I think the return on investment compared to the risk is pretty low. And I also am a believer in process. So I think that we're at the beginning of a process, and we're going to start with a kickoff, but I don't believe it's going to end there. It really is, and I don't think we have to have every T crossed and every I dotted before we go to Washington on this first trip, because I agree with Councilman Lawson that it's relationship building. But what we do need to do is work as a region to continue to winnow our priorities, to be more familiar with each other's priorities, so that we're not competing against each other, and that we get better at trying to do what we did in the state legislature, which is finding where there's momentum and not banging our head against a wall or trying to get on a train that's not going anywhere. But I think if you have a full delegation there, and there's flood, and there's airport, and there's an opportunity in any one of those areas, then we'll be able to react. And I think that that's important as well. So what I'd like to ask for, I'll go ahead and make a motion. I'll move that the Sparks Mayor and City Council support and participate in the Shared Federal Framework Program and incorporate the city's 2013-14 federal priorities into the Shared Federal Framework. And then at some point, at the appropriate time, I would like to ask you to invite you back and hear some details about how you see this process moving forward, perhaps in a little bit more formal. It's been everybody come, if you want to come, great kind of process, which has been very inclusive, but perhaps moving forward, we need to get to a little bit more structure where we all have a higher comfort level with how we're going to maintain it, how are we going to keep the momentum, how are we going to structure it so that we can come to these lists of priorities, that sort of thing.
Do we have a second for discussion?
Second.
It's been moved by Councilwoman Ratty, seconded by Councilman Lawson to approve the concept. Do we have questions? Any further discussion? Mr. Lawson.
I just think the best thing that could come out of this is if you get a few congressmen and women there to say, man, did you see all those people from Northern Nevada that were here? That would be a great compliment to us, I think.
Further questions? Okay, seeing none, please vote. Passed unanimously. Thanks, gentlemen. Appreciate it.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. We will provide all the details that Councilwoman Ratty has asked for, and I think I'm back here in about 2-3 weeks, and what I will do is endeavor to bring in even more detail as we progress through this. So,
Okay.
I want to thank you all for helping, and Adam, I want to thank Adam. He's the real brains behind this. So, thank you.
Don't give him a big head. He'll be looking for a raise. Thanks, gentlemen. Appreciate it. Thanks, Congressman. 6.6, presentation, discussion, and possible action on providing an extension to the Emergency Management Services Working Group's negotiations. Mr. Carey.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. Basically, in your staff report, we're updating you on where our negotiations are. We will have expended 120 days in early October, and it's the request of the Managers Working Group that we be provided an additional 120 days, essentially taking us to the end of January of next year to bring back the changes to the franchise agreement that are contained within the Tri-Data study and those that can be successfully negotiated between the parties involved. I would just respectfully request the additional time. I think we are making appropriate progress given the excellent emergency medical system we do have. I think we're taking due care to find the changes in process and procedures that will serve our community long into the future.
Questions for Mr. Carey? Okay, seeing none, looking for a motion. Ms. Ratty.
Move to authorize the city manager to extend the negotiation period for 120 days for the purpose of renewing an agreement with REMSA for emergency medical services.
Mr. Smith.
Second.
Moved by Councilwoman Ratty, seconded by Councilman Smith to approve the extension of 6.6. Any further discussion? Seeing none, please vote. Passes unanimously. 6.7, performance review by City Council and City Manager Sean Carey to consider the character, conduct, professional competence, or mental health of the city manager and/or consideration and possible approval of an extension, I was going to say execution, extension of employment agreement through 7/31/2015. Ms. Severson.
Good afternoon. Chris Severson, Employee and Customer Relations Manager, back again. You have before you an agenda item, which is our annual agenda item, to review City Manager Carey's performance and to possibly extend his contract through 2015. Just a reminder, his contract is for a 2-year period with an annual renewal. So we're here once a year to renew it for a 2-year period. This year, I did, as in the past, conduct both a direct report and a council mayor performance evaluation. You have those results. One is direct reports and one is council mayor. And I'm here to answer any questions. You will notice that there is a new contract version. I was asked the last time we were here to refresh the contract. It was an original contract in 2000. The last time it was written was 2004. It might have been Mr. Kerrigan who said, can you give us a new one just so that we know what it looks like in today's version? So you have...
Yeah, and also, brought up the fact, too, that when you take a look at the strikeout version, it looks like Sean got a $42,000 a year raise.
It does.
Yeah, and so I wanted to make sure we put that on the record, that was paid in 2003?
2004.
2000,
there might have been originally 2003 or 2004.
Yeah.
So it's a 9-year period, yes.
Right. Thanks.
Questions for Chris?
Any questions?
Comments? Mr. Smith?
Oh, just to, I read the evaluations, and it was all exceeded or met, and there was one that needed improvement. But overall, I thought the evaluation of our city manager was excellent, and I think he's doing a great job, and I can't imagine getting through what we've been through the last several years without his leadership. So thank you, Sean.
Ms. Ratty?
I'm just thankful every day that when I decided to take this crazy position, that there was somebody as talented, competent, and capable of running the city, keeps us all heading in a good direction, and I thought the evaluation really showed that, so I would definitely be supportive of renewing the contract for 2 years.
Same for me. I agree. You know, and being out in the community a lot is like I am. I hear a lot of good stuff about Sean and what he's done. People tell me what a great job the city's doing and how well it's going and how Sean is doing and all that stuff. So I appreciate it. And he's, level-headed, easy to talk to, doesn't get too carried away. He's only jumped up and tried to leave a meeting with me one time, so I haven't made him too angry, obviously, but I think he's done a tremendous job. Mr. Kerrigan.
Yeah, I want to echo everybody else's comments. It's been a lot of fun working with Sean over the years. I just wanted to point out since Ron is the one that brought it up, that there was one needs improvement that happened to be, I think, in writing, and we have to remember that he's an engineer, so I just didn't want to hold that against him. Okay.
To have all meets and one needs improvement for an
But the
engineer is
number
not so
part of it,
bad.
he's really good at all the numbers part, but it's the English words throw him off once in a while. So,
Mr. Lawson.
I think Sean's doing a great job also. For me, it's rewarding to see that suggestions that are made by the council he picks up on and implements, like the 4 disciplines of execution. It's going to be a good thing for the city.
Would you like an update on that?
No, but I heard somebody say the other day that they're working on their wig, and that is a whole different meaning if you have read that book. So that was good to hear.
Mr. Kerrigan.
I'd like to make a motion to approve an extension of the city manager's employment contract through July 31st, 2015.
Mr. Smith.
I'll second that if Sean will promise to stay off the dance floor or wherever he keeps
Or
hurting
moving
himself.
furniture.
Whatever he's doing, stop doing that.
Okay, we have a motion by Mr. Kerrigan, seconded by Mr. Smith. Any discussion? Questions? Mr. Kerry.
Just to say thank you for your...
We haven't voted yet.
Yeah, you better wait.
Fair enough. That's a good point, Mr. Mayor. I will wait.
Follows directions. Any questions? Okay, seeing none, please vote. Passed unanimously. Mr. Kerry.
Just again, thank you to the mayor and council and the department heads that I get to work with. I work with a very dynamic group of department heads who do an awful lot of the work that makes the city of Sparks a great place. And to all of the employees, I take great pride in being a City of Sparks employee first. And we have just some great employees. In every hallway that you go down, you'll find people that do extraordinary things. And we just had an elderly lady come into the customer service counter, and she couldn't find the Department of Motor Vehicles. And so we gave her direction, and the lady was elderly, left, came back the very next day asking for help in finding the DMV. And we provided more information. She left again. Well, on the third time, one of our employees used her lunch hour to drive over there and guide her to the very front door. And those are the kind of people that I get to work with. And that kind of talent doesn't exist everywhere. And that's really what makes our organization so great.
Thanks, Sean. Appreciate it. Okay, let's move on to public hearings. 7.1, public hearing and possible approval of the Consolidated Plan Annual Performance and Evaluation Report, CAPER, for program year 2012-13 for the City of Sparks to the U.S. Department of Housing and Urban Development, HUD. George. Mr. Graham.
Thank you,
Welcome.
Mayor. Good afternoon, City Council, everyone. For the record, George Graham, Housing Specialist. And what I have before you today is the annual CAPER, or Consolidated Plan Annual Report and Evaluation Report, CAPER for short, which is an annual requirement that we submit to HUD by the 30th of September. And we're required to have a 15-day public comment or advertisement, which we did September the 6th, and I received one inquiry, Ms. Stone, as pertaining to the CAPER report, and I accommodated her, and I believe she wanted to say, she has something to say. I'm not sure exactly what.
Yeah, we'll open up the public hearing and she'll have a chance to speak.
Yes. But the report basically is an overview of what we accomplished last year, program year 12, whereas we were granted $573,000 in CDBG funds And so it's a report on CDBG funds as well as home. And under home, we have the Aspen Village project on Sullivan and Merchant, and that project will result in 43 units of affordable housing, area median income of up to 40%, which is good. It's a population that's needing served, and we're glad to see that in progress. And also our contribution, or what we do for the Community Assistance Center, as well as RA, Reno Area Alliance for the Homeless. So there's different joint things that we are providing assistance through, and that will be reported back in the annual report. We also were able to address some pedestrian improvements. Approximately $373,000 of our grant went towards that, as well as some reprogram funds of approximately $49,000. And in the housing arena, we had approximately $99,000 from the previous year, and we're able to assist 21 families, households in the community over last year. And that 21 breaks down to 6 deferred loans as well as 15 emergency repair grants. So different needs in the community, and we were able to meet those needs. And again, that's just an overview of everything. And at this time, I'm prepared to answer any questions, if there's any questions pertaining to the CAPER.
Questions for George? Okay, seeing none, this is a public hearing item, so I'll open it to the public. Anyone like to speak under the public hearing?
Ms. Stone, Barbara
Ms. Stone, would you like to speak?
She can't, she's hard of hearing.
Oh, okay.
She's hard of hearing.
Another martini to the rescue. Please give us your name for the record, and then you have 3 minutes, ma'am.
Oh, boy. My name is Barbara Stone, Mayor. I want to thank the mayor and the council members for letting me speak. I am a native Nevadan. I've been in this area all my life. I enjoy being a Nevadan. I'd like to say a couple of things before I get started. As he said, I don't hear very well, but I just got new hearing aids, and they're working, and I can recalibrate them. But the only one that I could really hear that was talking of all of you was Porter. He's used to standing in front of the legislature, and I've been there many times. I've testified over there over the years. Your voice is, I can understand, but you got to turn these up just a little bit more if you're going to have senior citizens. I work a lot right now with senior citizens through the Sanford Center for the Aging and with the forum that Grady Tarbutton is trying to start. I've been doing a lot of things because I find a whole lot of senior citizens are afraid to speak up. They want things done, and they're afraid that nobody's going to pay any attention to them or nobody's going to listen to them. And I've been doing some of this. I was at the forum, the legislative forum in Carson City, August 27th, and it was the Nevada Silver-Haired Legislative Forum. And we were over there and we talked, and we were there about 7 hours. I have some information here. I'm going to leave some information for you. And this is from a Dr. John, Yacenda. First off, I guess I better tell you, I don't see very well either. I have macular degeneration now. The hearing is bad, so there's a lot of things. But if you're going to work with senior citizens and they're in here, turn up your mics and look at them, because if they're looking at you like this, they can't hear you. I'm not being smart. I'm just trying to give you a little information.
Okay.
I'm a great-grandmother, so I've been around a little bit. But with what we have here with this doctor, I'll leave it for you, or I could read a little bit of it to you, because it's on housing for senior citizens. And the thing is pretty bad. There's one other thing I'd like to do before I read this. Do any of you watch PBS very often? Great. It's one of the best programs. But come Tuesday night at 10 p.m. on a Frontline program. This is the second time they have put it on. And this is a program.
Okay, Ms. Stone, your time is up, but I'm going to give you a little additional time to get to each one. Probably want to leave that with us and not read it.
I've got 3 of them to leave with you.
Okay, that's good, because
Or two.
your time is up, but I'll give you a few more another minute or so to get to wrap up.
On
if
this
you would,
front
please.
line, this one, now I've seen it, and I was never so upset about anything in my life, and I don't get upset easy. I raised 5 children here by myself. I know what it is to have a hard time. But this front line, it says here, life and death in assisted living. In a major year-long investigation, Frontline and ProPublica raised questions about fatal lapses in care, understaffing, and a quest for profits within a company that operates more than 400 assisted living facilities across the United States. Recently, they bought 2 in Reno. I will tell you what they are, because it's Emeritus, EMERITIUS. They bought 2, one off of Sky Valley and one off of Plumas, up there where Classic is, and some of them. And they're in there. I'd been up to them. And I wasn't allowed to go in because I didn't have anybody in the one off of Plumas. They wouldn't let me come in. But if you'll watch this, you'll see how important it is across this country. They lost either 6 or 8 multi-million-dollar lawsuits because they literally killed the senior citizen in all 6 of them.
Okay, I'm going to have to ask you to wrap it up, Ms. Stone.
Okay,
You're
well,
over
I'd
your
like to
time,
come
and
back.
I appreciate you being here.
The housing, this is on the housing.
Okay.
It's very important. The housing, I'm concerned about because I have a Section 8. I lived in Nevada all my life. I made half the money a man made. I told I did not have any rights. I was raising 5 children by myself, and I worked 2 jobs. But I'd like to see some things change for senior citizens. And as I said, I'm not afraid of people because we're all just people. But if we all work together, we can get something done.
Thank you very much for being
Thank
here. We
you.
appreciate it.
I appreciate it.
And just hand those things to, or have George hand those to the clerk.
I'll pull them out. Whoop.
Okay.
I'm going to give them some business cards also for some of the people that are working, like the Sanford Center for the Aging,
Oh, yes.
and the people that are helping Grady Tarbutton.
Okay.
Okay.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Anyone else under public comment? Seeing none, I'll close it and bring it back to the council for action. Any questions for George? If not, looking for a motion. If not, looking for a motion. Ms. Ratty.
I move to approve submittal of the consolidated annual performance and evaluation report for program year 2012-13 for the City of Sparks 2 Housing and Urban Development.
Mr. Smith.
Second.
Moved by Councilwoman Ratty, seconded by Councilman Smith to approve 7.1. Any further discussion? Seeing none, please vote. Passes unanimously. Thanks, George.
Thank you all.
Planning and zoning, second reading of Bill Number 2661, CA-1-13, an ordinance amending the Sparks Municipal Code, Chapter 20.49, Section 20.49.010, to change off-site parking requirements in the industrial district. Ms. Melby.
Mayor and Council, I'm Karen Melby, Senior Planner. Before you today is a proposed amendment to Title 20 in our parking section. This is based on the Phase 2 zoning code analysis, and it was identified in that the industrial parking in the industrial area should be a high priority. This code amendment includes two sections that are being changed under the parking. The first one is to change the off-street parking requirements for the industrial area. Right now, you have to have 40%. You can have 40% of your parking off-site, and we are proposing to change this to that you can have all your parking except for your ADA parking must be still on the site within 500 feet of your property. And in the code right now, you have to get an agreement for 10 years. To get your business license, you have to have a 10-year agreement so that you can have 40% of your parking off-site. In this code amendment, what we're proposing is annually you would have to provide documentation that you have an agreement for this parking, and then it's done annually with each time you renew your business license. That's the first code amendment. And the second one is, right now in our code, we have that you can provide alternative parking. And that's only for commercial properties. And what we're proposing is to change that to non-residential. And also, it has to be a 5-acre site or larger. And what we're proposing is that any size property that's a non-residential property can propose an alternative parking requirement as an alternative to what's required in our code right now. And that would have to be documented by either an Urban Lands Institute document, an American Planning Association, or the International Transportation Engineers document. So it has to be backed up by some kind of supporting data. This item went before Planning Commission on July 18th, and Planning Commission recommends approval. That concludes my presentation. I'd be happy to answer any questions.
Questions for Ms. Melby? Okay, seeing no questions, I'll open it to the public. Anyone in the audience like to speak to this particular item? Seeing none, I'll close the public hearing and bring it back to council for action. Questions? Mr. Lawson.
I'm ready to make a motion.
Go for it.
Move to approve Bill Number 2661, ordinance number 2480, CA-1-13, to amend Chapter 20 of the Sparks Municipal Code to permit and regulate parking.
Do you have a second? Mr. Smith.
Second.
Moved by Councilman Lawson, seconded by Councilman Smith to approve Agenda Item 8.1. Any further discussion?
Just, it's important to know that you have to have something in writing for this parking, so you have to have an agreement with your neighbor. It's not just a free-for-all parking zone out there at this point. So
That's correct.
There has to be some consensus or consent provided by the other business owners in the area. I think that's an important factor.
Yeah. Any further discussion? Seeing none, please vote. Passes unanimously. Closed door session, Sean? No closed door. Comments from the public? Anyone in the audience like to speak? Comments from the city council or city manager? Okay, seeing no further business, we are adjourned.
Okay, call the order of the Sparks Redevelopment Agency meeting for September 23rd with a roll call, please.
Chairman Smith.
Here.
Agency members Ratty. Here. Lawson. Here. Martini.
Here.
Kerrigan.
Here.
Schmidt. Absent. Agency Attorney Eiding. Here. And Agency Manager Carey.
Here.
We have a quorum. Thank you.
Okay, I'll open up the public. Anybody in the audience wishing to speak at this time? Seeing none, we'll bring it back to the commission. 3.1, consideration and possible approval of the minutes of the regular Sparks Redevelopment Agency meeting for August 26, 2013.
Move to approve, Mr. Chair.
Second.
We have a motion and a second. Any further discussion? All in favor say aye. Aye. Opposed? Passes unanimously. 4.0, reports of claims and bills approved for payment August 8, 2013 through September 4th, 2013.
Move to approve.
Second.
We have a motion and a second. Any further discussion? Jesus. Seeing none, all in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Passes unanimously. Number 5, discussion of and direction to city staff regarding possible sale of the redevelopment agency's 10.2-acre parcel located on Marina Gateway. Armando.
Chairman Smith, members of the agency board, Armando Ornelas, city planner. As you know, AED Investments, which had an exclusive negotiating agreement with the agency, which actually ran through tomorrow, notified agency staff in August that they were withdrawing from that agreement, and that was to potentially acquire the 10.2-acre parcel on Marina Gateway Drive. What we're doing with this staff item, is asking the agency board to provide staff some direction in terms of potentially disposing of this property. We've outlined a process which is intended to be fairly expeditious. So as opposed to, for example, going through an RP process and potentially tying up the property for an extended period of time, this proposal is based on the idea that we would see if there is a potential buyer out there who would be prepared to act in the relatively short term. So the process, as we've outlined it in the staff report, would be to, first of all, update the appraisal, and that's necessary to establish what the fair market value is. If the agency board were to ultimately accept an offer from a potential buyer for something less than the fair market value, then that project would potentially be subject to the prevailing wage provisions in NRS 338. We would then market the property, and this is essentially intended to be a staff undertaken process. So we would publish notice in the local newspapers. We'd post a for sale sign on the property. We would notify those parties which have indicated an interest in the property in recent months. And I'm aware, I think in the staff report I said of 3, there's actually 4 based on a phone call I got in the last couple of days. And we would prepare and disseminate marketing materials, including a packet of information about the property. We would specify in the notices that we published. The idea would be to basically say, hey, to the community and to any prospective buyer, we're accepting offers. If you're interested in putting an offer in, you have until a date, and I think depending on how long it takes me to get the packet together, we're looking at something in November.
Why would we limit the date?
Well, I think the alternative, Chairman Smith, would be to bring you offers as they come in. But I think the thought with...
Okay, so if you don't have all the offers in or whatever you need by November, then you'll extend it. We're not taking it off the market.
We're not taking it off the market. It's just, we would there'd be a cutoff date, if you will, for first consideration, if you will.
Okay.
We would take the offers and review them, clarify any aspects of the offers that maybe are unclear about them, and then we would bring all of the offers to the agency board for the agency board's consideration. I think we would offer you a recommendation, but we'd bring them all, and then if the agency board chose to accept an offer, we would then have to schedule public hearing dates before the agency and the city council to comply with the requirements of NRS 279-630. So that's the process in a nutshell. The agency's practice in the past has been not to pay real estate commissions. So basically, anyone who would want to be represented by a broker would have to compensate them on their own. And then we've outlined some alternatives for you, including changes to this process, directing staff to utilize a different process, for example, the RFP process or the retention of a broker, or you could, of course, choose not to seek a buyer for the property at this time.
Questions? Mr. Kerrigan.
Yeah, the only problem I have with that is, why don't we just sell it like you do a house? Okay, we find out what the appraisal is, and if somebody comes in first and says, okay, I'll give you, let's say it appraises for $1 million, and they say, yeah, we want to buy it for $1 million, then they sell it to them. because I don't want to wait around and now you're pitting people against people again. And, you know, I think first come, first serve, as long as you get the appraisal or more, if you want to do that. I don't have a problem with just saying, first one that gives me appraisal value, it's yours. I mean, is there anything against the law about doing that way?
No, I don't think there's anything against the law about doing that. I think, you know, obviously the variation on that would be that, or the distinction would be that rather than saying, you know, we'll accept offers until such a date, we would say we would accept offers beginning on such a date.
Yeah, I would. I haven't a problem with that, because let's just say it goes for $1 million and the first person comes in and said, I want to buy it for $1 million. Why would we wait? The only reason I can see the wait is if somebody wants to say, well, I'll give you 1.2, and that's not, I can tell you right now, that's not going to happen. So my druthers is if somebody hits the appraisal value, we sell it to them. And I'm sure people are going to come in and say, I'll give you $200,000 for, you know, $1 million property too. In that case, you say, see ya.
And just to, I mean, certainly on a you know, another way to tackle this, again, the thinking behind the process as proposed was to say, hey, you know, we'll give everyone a shot who gets something in by such and such a date, but it's the agency board's you know, prerogative.
Well, once again, you know, all I'm trying to do is expedite the process, because once again, you know, time is money to people, and if somebody wants to buy that property and do something with it, I think it would deter them to say, okay, we're going to wait 3 months. When they say, well, okay, hey, it's up for sale, I'm going to buy it, and I'm going to put something, whatever it's zoned for, on it, let's go. I say, I agree with that.
Mr. Lawson.
Well, I'm going to take a different tack from Mike and say I think some creative things should happen, too. Maybe this is a suggestion that I had in the past, is that we give the property away, we sell it back to them, they pay us in 10 years for it. And that way we're encouraging growth immediately, and somebody to put something on there and, you know, pay us out of the proceeds of the development at a later date. So I think creative proposals is a good idea too. The whole key in my mind is not necessarily to receive the whatever the value is, say $1 million, is to create jobs, and that's what we really need more of, is jobs.
Part of the problem with that is the redevelopment area 2 will be broke in a year, 2 years.
Well, I would defer to Mr. Cronk on the agency's finances. It's my understanding that the city's budget includes an amount to make up the difference between what the agency 2 or area 2 is scheduled to pay in debt service in the current fiscal year, and what it's projecting its revenues to be.
And the sale of this property would offset the general fund.
Of course, depending on how much we get, of course. But Jeff Cronk, Financial Services Director, for the record. We started subsidizing redevelopment area 2 this past year, fiscal 13, and then we put in a budget for fiscal 14, a greater amount. Last year, I believe it was $250,000 that we subsidized. This year's budget is $750,000. Depending on how property tax receipts come in, it's going to be in that range. So absolutely anything we receive would offset that.
Okay, Mr. Mayor?
You know, I'd like to get, if we can, as much money as we can, obviously, that's the thing. But as I recall, the last time we sold a property, we had made a deal with somebody, or it came to the council as a deal, to sell a little piece of property on Lillard Way, and what we did is had an auction, because it was 2 people that wanted that property, and it went from $30,000 to $150,000, I think. So, you know, that's something I think we ought to keep open. If there's more people that are involved or want to take this property, maybe that's something that we can take a look at. But I'd like to keep it open for anybody's offer for November is fine, as that, whatever that date was, is fine with me. If we get several offers and there's several people that want to be interested in it, let's have an auction like we did last time. I mean, I was kind of taken back by that, but it seemed to work pretty good.
I mean, we could certainly look at the technically structuring it as an auction. I mean, I think the way it's proposed, it's not strictly speaking an auction. It'd be basically just a day by which we, or until which we would accept offers.
Okay. Mr. Kerrigan?
Yeah, I'm not sure how many people were on the city council when we bought this property. I don't think anybody was but the mayor and myself. But remember why we bought this property, because it was a good deal at the time. We got it way below market, and we were going to buy it and turn it right and flip it. But then, once again, the economy fell out from underneath us, and we got stuck with it. And so the only reason we bought this property was because we wanted to make money. Okay? I just want to put that out there. It had nothing to do with economic development, except it had everything to do with let's buy this property for $1 million and flip it for $2 million.
Ms. Ratty?
Well, I'm glad to have that backstory, because I've always wondered where to get this property, so that actually makes some sense. And my take on it in the conversation that Ron and I were able to have to decide to ask staff to bring this item forward is that it's not a key piece of property in our redevelopment effort in any way, shape, or form. And I appreciate what Councilman Lawson's saying about getting some development on the property and getting some activity that results in some taxes would be a nice thing. I don't have any problem with the November date because I just think of the practicality of the situation. I'm not sure that the analogy with selling a house is the same because we get to make joint, our sole decisions, but you've got to come back before a body on this one anyway, and that body only meets every 2 weeks. So in practical purposes, you could have four proposals come in between the time we meet, by the time it has to be on an agenda. So I actually think it's a little cleaner to have a date and know that it's going to be on that, on a subsequent agenda. And then, have we done this before? So my question is, how do we vet whether or not those proposals are serious and that they actually have the wherewithal to purchase? I mean, if there are multiple proposals, would that be part of the process?
That would be the process of trying to review, or the process of reviewing and clarifying the proposals. We'd try to flush out, those sorts of issues in terms of the buyer's capacity.
Well, wouldn't you have the earnest money put up front?
Yeah.
With every offer?
Yeah.
We would, okay. So it'd have to be a serious offer to begin with.
Okay, Mr. Kerrigan.
Yeah, I just wanted to say this is about the same time, Julia, that we bought a casino as a city. Thought I'd throw that in there. We were in the real estate business at that time. You didn't know that we owned the casino either? Okay.
Have we owned a brothel?
Probably would have bought one if it was legal in Washoe County at the time. So.
We're working on it.
Checking.
Okay, we're a little off track here. Okay.
I would like to make
any more comments?
How about I make a motion?
Please. Go ahead.
Oh, wait, is this?
No, it's not.
I move to direct staff to proceed with identifying a prospective buyer for the redevelopment agency's 10.2-acre Marina Gateway Drive proper as outlined in the staff report.
We have a motion.
Second.
And a second. Any further discussion? All in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Passes unanimously. Thank you. Okay, comments. Comments from the public. Anybody in the audience wishing to speak at this time? Seeing none, we bring it back to agency. Comments from the agency members? Seeing none, we are adjourned. Thank you.